My boss asked me if I was good in bed, and I told her something I had not said to another human being in 4 years. 3 words. Not romantic, not smooth, not the kind of answer any woman expects when she asks a man that question. But the moment those words left my mouth, her face changed. Her eyes filled, and the woman who signs my paychecks looked at me like she had just found something she had been searching for long before she ever knew my name. My name is Caleb Mercer. I'm 35 years old. I work as a facilities technician at one of the most prestigious architecture firms in Asheville, North Carolina. I fix the pipes, the wiring, the heating, the lights. I'm the lowest man on the payroll in a building full of designers who see their names in magazines. Nobody looks at the man replacing a ceiling tile the same way they look at the man who designed the ceiling. But my boss does. She looks at me like I am the only thing in the building she cannot figure out. Her name is Nora Ashford. She is 36, managing director. Her last name is etched into the glass above the lobby door. She runs a firm her father built from nothing, and half the partners think she earned her title, but the other half think her last name did. She is the most powerful woman in every room she walks into, but I have watched her eat lunch alone behind a closed door every single day for 8 months. She is brilliant, respected, and afraid of something she will not name. I have been invisible to her since the day she arrived. 8 months of adjusting the temperature outside her office because I noticed she keeps a sweater on her chair. 8 months of fixing things she never asked me to fix and disappearing before she could say thank you. 8 months of watching the most guarded woman I have ever seen carry a weight I recognized because I carry the same one. But she is my boss, and I am the man who fixes her toilets. And there is something I have not told anyone in this building. Something about who I used to be before I put on this maintenance uniform and decided I did not deserve more. Something about a wife who walked out a door 4 years ago while I said 3 words to her back that she never turned around to hear. So when my boss looked at me on that porch in the mountains and asked if I was good in bed, I did not laugh it off. I did not deflect. I told her the thing I had not said in 4 years. And what she did next changed everything I believed about myself, about love, and about what it means to finally be seen by someone who was never supposed to look. But why would a woman like Nora Ashford ask her facilities technician that question? What had she been watching for 8 months that made her believe the man who fixes her pipes might know something about intimacy that no one else did? What are the 3 words Caleb said that broke something open between them? And what is the secret he is hiding that could either give him back the life he lost or destroy the only connection that has made him feel alive since the day his wife walked out and never looked back? The architects in this building design museums and hospitals and award-winning homes. They see their names printed in glossy magazines. I see the inside of air ducts and the underside of conference tables. I fix what is broken. I adjust what is off. I make spaces feel the way they are supposed to feel, and then I disappear before anyone notices I was there. But I was not always this man. 4 years ago, I was a licensed architect. I had a desk, a drafting program, a title, and a wife named Elena who loved me more than I knew how to receive. Elena did not leave me for another man. She left because she said loving me was like pressing her hand against glass. She could see me in there, but she could not reach me. I grew up watching my father show love by fixing the gutters at midnight and never saying a word about how he felt. I inherited that silence. I loved Elena and repaired faucets and rewired outlets. I replaced the bathroom tile before she noticed the crack. I stayed up until 2 in the morning, redesigning the nursery when we were trying to start a family. But I could not sit on the couch and tell her what I was feeling. I could not say, I am scared, or I need you, or I do not know how to be the man you married. My father never said those things to my mother. He just replaced the roof when it leaked and called that love. Elena tried. She tried for 3 years. She asked me to talk to her. She asked me to look at her when she spoke. She asked me to fight with her, even, because at least fighting would mean I was present. But every time she reached for me, I was somewhere behind my own eyes, building something in my head instead of being in the room with her. The morning she left, I stood in the hallway of our apartment and watched her carry 2 suitcases to the door. She turned around one last time. Her eyes were dry. That was the worst part. She had already done all her crying in the months before. "I love you, Caleb," she said, "but loving you is like pressing my hand against glass. I can see you, but I cannot reach you, and I'm tired of knocking." She opened the door. I opened my mouth. "I'm right here," I said. She paused with her back to me, hand on the doorknob. Then she walked through it and closed it behind her, and the sound of that latch catching was the last real sound I heard for a long time. I've not said those 3 words since, not to anyone, not to my mother when she calls, not even to myself in the mirror on the mornings when I cannot remember why I got out of bed. I stopped saying, "I'm right here," because the last time I said it, the person I said it to had already decided I was not. After Elena left, the firm downsized. I lost my position, I lost my confidence, and I lost the belief that I had anything to offer another person beyond a functioning thermostat. I took the facilities job, because I could still be near architecture without having to be someone. Fixing toilets felt honest. I could not hurt a toilet's feelings by being too quiet. That was 4 years ago, and I had made peace with being invisible. At least I thought I had. Until Nora Ashford walked into this building and made me realize that being unseen is only painless when there is no one you want to be seen by. She arrived 8 months ago, took over from her father. The first time I saw her, she was standing in the lobby on a Monday morning, completely still while everyone swirled around her. Dark blazer, shoes that clicked on the concrete with a sound that meant business. Her hair was pulled back tight. Her posture was the kind of straight you only see in people who learned early that standing tall was the only way to survive a room full of men who wanted to see them sit down. She looked up. Our eyes met for half a second. I was on a ladder changing a light fixture near the entrance. She looked right through me, the way people look at furniture, and went back to her phone. I went back to the fixture. That should have been the end of it. But here's the thing about a man who reads rooms for a living. I could not stop reading her. She ate lunch alone in her office every single day with the door closed. She stayed past 9 most nights, not because the work demanded it, but because the silence at her desk was easier than the silence at home. She rewrote emails that did not need rewriting. She redid presentations that were already finished. She held herself to a standard so impossibly high it left bruises no one else could see. People respected her, but nobody got close. I recognized that distance. I live inside the same kind. So I did what I do. I loved her the only way I knew how, in a language she could not hear. I kept her office 2 degrees warmer than the rest of the building because I noticed the sweater on her chair. I maintained the 4th floor coffee machine, twice a week instead of once because she drank from it every afternoon at 3. I replaced the bulb outside her door with a warmer filament because the cool white was casting shadows under her eyes that had nothing to do with the light and everything to do with what she was carrying. She never noticed. She never thanked me. That was the deal. I fix the world around people so they feel better, and I do it from far enough away that no one has to feel anything about me. 8 months of invisible devotion from a man she did not know existed. 8 months of love letters written in thermostats and light bulbs that no one would ever read. But Deacon noticed. Deacon Holt, 58, the building's senior security guard, retired Marine, 11 years at the front desk. He was the only human being who saw me clearly enough to be annoying about it. "You are walking different," he said one Tuesday morning, setting a coffee on my workbench the way he always did without being asked. I walk the same. As always. "No, sir. You used to walk like a man heading to his own funeral. Now you walk like a man who remembered he has somewhere to be." "I have a clogged drain on the 2nd floor, Deacon." "That's not what I mean, and you know it." I knew it. But knowing something and doing something about it are 2 different languages, and I only speak one. Then October came, and with it, the firm's annual team retreat, a weekend at a mountain lodge in the Blue Ridge just outside Asheville, team building, client strategy, catered dinners where the partners drink too much wine, a bonfire on Saturday night where the interns get brave enough to talk to the senior staff. I was there because I was technically staff, but I spent most of the day doing what I always do, making the space work. The sound system in the dining room had a ground buzz I traced to a bad cable. The fireplace damper was stuck half open, pushing smoke back into the room. The deck railing on the north side was 2 bolts, short of giving way if someone leaned wrong. I fixed all of it before the first session started. Nora ran the weekend. She stood at the front of the dining room in a soft cream sweater I had never seen before, sleeves pushed up, hair half down instead of pulled tight. She looked different outside the office, less armored. The mountains did something to the tension in her shoulders, unwound it by a quarter turn. She was still precise, still controlled, but there were cracks in the polish. A laugh that came a beat too fast. A pause where she lost her place in her notes. A moment where she looked out the window at the ridgeline and forgot she was mid-sentence. I watched from the back of the room while pretending to check a light switch. That was the first time I admitted to myself that I was not watching because it was my job. Friday night came. Dinner ended. Most of the team moved inside to the great room where someone had started a card game and the wine was flowing. The night was cold in the way October gets in the mountains, sharp and clean, the kind of air that makes your lungs feel brand new. I was on the back deck, not the social one, the quiet one that faced the valley, dark and still, with a view of the ridgeline cut black against a sky full of stars. One beer on the railing, barely touched. My jacket collar turned up. The sounds of laughter from inside felt far away, like a radio playing in another room. The glass door behind me opened. Soft footsteps, the scent of something warm. Not perfume exactly, more like whatever lotion she used, something with vanilla and cedar that I had no business noticing and noticed anyway. "You disappear well," Nora said. I did not turn. "Practice," I said. She stepped up to the railing about 4 feet from me, close enough to talk, far enough to pretend it was just 2 coworkers sharing a view. She held a glass of red wine with both hands, the way people hold things when they need something to do with their fingers. "I've been watching you all day," she said, and then immediately added, "That sounds worse than I mean." "Depends on what you saw," I said. "I saw you fix the deck railing this morning, the one on the north side. You were out there before anyone was awake. It was 2 bolts loose. You also fixed the sound system and the fireplace, and I am fairly sure you rearranged the dining room chairs so the tables by the window were angled away from the afternoon glare." I took a sip of beer. The sun was hitting the place settings wrong, made the silverware hard to look at. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something no one had ever asked me before. "Who taught you to see like that?" "Nobody," I said. "I just notice what is off." "Everything? Or mostly? In rooms or in people too?" That question had teeth. I felt them. I turned my head just enough to see her profile in the starlight. Chin lifted, eyes on the mountains, waiting for my answer like it mattered. "Rooms are easier," I said. "Rooms do not lie about what they need," she almost smiled. "And people do? People say they are fine when the temperature is wrong. They sit in chairs that hurt their backs and call it normal. Rooms are honest, people are not." She turned to face me then. The moonlight caught her eyes, and I saw something I had not expected. She was not making conversation. She was doing what I do. She was reading me, studying the angles, checking what was off. "Can I ask you something strange?" she said. "Depends on the strange," I said again. She took a breath. Then my boss looked me dead in the eyes and said the thing that ripped 4 years of silence clean out of my chest. "I think you are good in bed." The night went quiet. Not silent. There were still crickets and wind and the distant rumble of someone laughing inside. But the space between us went completely still, like the air itself was holding its breath. She did not say it the way a woman says it when she is flirting. She said it the way someone names a thing they have been studying for a long time and finally have a word for. Her cheeks went red, visible even in the dark. "That came out wrong. What I mean is, I have watched you for 8 months. I have watched you walk into rooms that feel wrong and make them feel right without anyone noticing. I have watched you adjust things so gently that the adjustment itself is invisible. A man who pays attention like that, who knows how to be in a room that carefully, would know how to be with a person the same way. Present, attentive, not rushing, not performing, just there." She paused. "That is what I mean by good in bed. And if you want to report me to HR, I will hand you the form. Myself." I should have laughed it off. Any smart man would. Smile, deflect, walk inside, forget it happened. But something about the way she said it, not as a compliment but as a question she needed the answer to, broke the lock on a door I had welded shut 4 years ago. "I have not told anyone I'm right here in 4 years," I said. The words came out rough, like they had been stored in a room with no air. They did not match her question, but they answered something deeper that neither of us expected. She frowned. "I do not understand." The last time I said those words to someone, she was walking out the door. I told her I was right here. She left anyway. So I stopped saying it, stopped being it. I fix rooms now because I could not fix a marriage. I make spaces feel right because I could not make a person feel held. She was quiet for a long time. The wind moved through the trees on the ridge. Then she set her wine glass down next to my beer. 2 drinks on a railing, side by side, not touching. "I know something about loving someone in the wrong language," she said softly. "I was engaged to a man who said all the right words, beautiful words, the kind that make you feel like you are the center of someone's universe." She paused. "Turns out I was not his universe. I was his filing cabinet. He used my access, my position, my trust to build his own business on the back of mine. When I found out, he said no one wanted me for me. He said I was a title, a useful one." She looked at me. "So when I asked if you are good in bed, I was really asking if you are real. If the man I have been watching for 8 months is the man I think he is. Or if I am wrong again. What do you think I am?" I asked. "I think you are a man who is so good at being present in a room that he forgot how to be present in a life. And I think that terrifies you, because being present with a person means they can leave. And last time that happened, you did not recover. Nobody had ever said anything that accurate to me. Not Elena, not my therapist, not Deacon with his Tuesday coffee wisdom. My boss, the name on the building, standing on a porch in the mountains with starlight in her eyes, had just described the exact shape of the hole in my chest." "You are not wrong," I said. "About which part?" "Any of it." Then she said something I was not ready for. "I think I would like to find out if you are good in bed, Caleb. Not tonight, not like that. But someday. I would like to sit in a room with you and feel what it is like when you are actually there, not fixing anything, not disappearing before I can say thank you. Just there." My throat closed, not from grief, from something I had not felt in so long I barely recognized it. Want. I wanted to be there. "You are my boss," I said. "I know. This could end both our careers. I know that too. And you still said it." She picked up her wine, took a sip, and looked out at the dark valley. "Someone once made me afraid of wanting the wrong person," she said. "But you know what is worse than wanting the wrong person? Never wanting anyone because you are too afraid to be wrong." I picked up my beer. We stood there, side by side, looking at the same dark mountains. Not touching, not moving, just present. My boss asked me if I was good in bed, and I told her something I had not said in 4 years. But what happened after that night, what she discovered about who I really was, and the one phone call that forced me to choose between the man I had been hiding and the man she believed I could be, that is what nearly destroyed everything between us before it even began. Everything changed after the retreat, not in the way you would expect. There was no dramatic Monday morning. Nora went back to being the director. I went back to being invisible. But the thread between us was there now, taut and humming, impossible to ignore. She started finding reasons to visit the 4th floor. I started leaving. Her office 2 degrees warmer. I replaced her light bulb with a warmer filament because the cool white made her look tired. She was not tired. She was carrying something heavy. That is different. Then one afternoon, an old architectural drawing fell out of my jacket pocket. Nora picked it up before I could grab it. She unfolded it slowly. "Caleb," she said, "this is not a sketch. This is a structural elevation with load-bearing notation. Who are you?" And there it was. The question I had been hiding from for 4 years. "I used to be an architect," I said. She stared at me. "You used to be an architect, and you are fixing baseboard in my building? Your building needed baseboard fixed. Why are you really here, Caleb?" Because after Elena left, I stopped believing I had anything worth building. Fixing toilets felt honest. I could not hurt a toilet's feelings by being too quiet. She did not laugh. She held that drawing like evidence. Then she stepped forward and said, "The warmer office, the coffee machine, the light bulb. That was not maintenance, was it?" "No," I said. "That was me telling you I'm right here." Her eyes filled. She nodded once without speaking. And for the first time in 4 years, I said those words, and the person hearing them did not walk away. Now, if this story touched something inside you, if you have ever loved someone in a language they could not hear, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on that notification bell. Because stories like this one are what we do here, and the next one might be the one that changes how you see love forever. That drawing changed everything, not just between us, between me and the life I had buried. Nora left it on her desk, and a senior partner named Arthur Wynne saw it during a meeting. Arthur had been in architecture for 40 years. He knew what a real elevation looked like. "Whose is this?" he asked. Nora said, "The most talented person in this building." Arthur looked at my old portfolio. He looked at the buildings I had designed before the world went sideways. He looked at the man sitting across from him in work boots and a maintenance uniform. "Why are you fixing pipes, son?" he asked. "Because pipes do not tell you that you are not enough," I said. He gave me a project, a mountain community center. He said the client wanted someone who understood how a building should feel, not just how it should look. I designed it the way I have always loved. I angled the windows so the morning light would warm the gathering space without glare. I made the entrance face east so people would step inside and the first thing they would feel was warmth. I designed a building that said, "I am right here in every single room." Then Elena called, my ex-wife, out of nowhere. She was in Asheville visiting a friend. She was remarried, she was pregnant, she was happy. But she called because she owed me the truth. "I was wrong about you, Caleb," she said. "You were present. Every repaired faucet was a love letter. Every fixed cabinet was you saying I love you. I just did not speak your language, and instead of learning it, I told you it was not real. You are not broken. You never were." I sat in the dark after that call and cried for the first time in 4 years. Not because I was sad, because the woman who made me believe I was broken just told me I never was. And if I was never broken, then I had no excuse to keep hiding. An anonymous HR complaint almost tore us apart. Inappropriate relationship, favoritism, 30 days of forced distance, no more coffee on the 4th floor, no more late nights, 30 days of silence after I had just learned to speak again. But the review cleared us. My promotion was merit. Arthur's recommendation was independent, and on the 31st day, I made 2 cups of coffee, sat on that cold mechanical room floor, and waited. At 5:22, the door opened. Nora stood there with tired eyes and the weight of a building on her shoulders. "Is this seat taken?" she asked. "It has been empty for 30 days, I said. She sat down, took the coffee, and said the words that broke me open for good. "I'm falling in love with a man who speaks in thermostats and light bulbs, and I do not need him to change his language. I just need him to keep speaking it. I am right here," I said, and this time she stayed. A year later, the community center opened. Nora stood beside me, not as my boss, as the woman who learned my language when everyone else said it was not real. An older woman from the neighborhood council walked through the main hall and stopped. "I cannot explain it," she said. "I walked in, and I felt like someone was paying attention to me, like the whole room was saying, 'I see you.'" I looked at Nora. She was already looking at me. "That is the design," I said. The woman shook her head. "No, honey, that is love." She was right. My boss once asked me if I was good in bed. I told her something I had not said in 4 years, 3 words that a closed door swallowed once. But the right person does not close the door. The right person sits down on a cold floor and learns to hear what you have been saying all along. Now, if this story reached you, if you have ever loved someone in a language they could not understand, subscribe to this channel and turn on that notification bell. Tell me where you are listening from. And if you know someone who has been hiding behind their work because they stopped believing their heart was worth sharing, send them this story. Not because it will fix them, because it might remind them that the words, "I am right here," still mean everything when you say them to the right person.